I'm also going to let a couple of our speakers in.
Give it about 2 more minutes, then we can officially start the meeting. All right, I call this Senate meeting to order on Monday, October 12th, 2020 at 6:00 p.m. We will now proceed with roll call.
Senator Aslan.
Present.
Senator Beck.
Present.
Senator Brim.
Present.
Senator Burnett.
Present.
Senator Chillerson.
Present.
Senator Gorin.
Present.
Senator Hawkins.
Unexcused.
Senator Ho.
Excused.
Senator Jackson.
Unexcused.
Senator Jones.
Present.
Senator Krager.
Unexcused.
Senator Morgan.
I'm in here like a minute ago.
So did I. I'll come back to him. Senator Obert.
Excused.
Senator Odell.
Present.
Senator Perry.
Present.
Senator Pruitt.
Present.
Senator Randolph. Present. She's having problems with her microphone. She messaged me. Senator Sherman.
Present.
Senator Shahan.
Present.
Senator Showell.
Present.
Senator Wheeler.
Present.
Senator Winsing.
Present.
I'm going to give Jack one more call. Senator Morgan.
Present.
There we go.
There.
President Walters.
Present.
Vice President Akpan.
Present.
Trustee Graham.
Present.
Financial Officer Dreppert.
Present.
Internal Affairs Officer Lutz.
Present.
External Affairs Officer Kyle.
Present.
Marketing and Communication Officer Ballard.
Present.
Organization Relations Officer Akpan.
Present.
and Student Diversity Officer McKenzie.
Present.
All right, moving on to line item 3, guest speakers. Our first guest speaker for the night will be Mallory Sedaris, the Director of Housing. Thank you for coming out today, Mallory. You will have 10 minutes to speak, and Senate does not have to respond.
Okay, well, first, thanks for everybody for having me. It's nice to see a lot of you and see some familiar faces that we haven't seen you yet on campus. So thanks for inviting me to spend some time with you tonight. Wanted to provide some updates about housing, what this fall has looked like compared to some previous falls that we know it's a little bit different, what we're looking at looking forward, and then any other questions that you might have. So this fall, we are operating with around 1,959 residents on campus. That's around 670 fewer than we had last fall. That makes up our occupancy. When we talk about occupancy, that's in the low 60s. It's like 62%. To provide some context, last year we opened at 85%. So it's nearly a 25% decrease in the number of students that are living on campus. For us, on-campus housing, that means Bluff, Prairie, Woodland, and Evergreen Halls and Cougar Village apartments. So those are the on-campus properties here. And that is where those students live in a combination of first-year students and upper-class students. I think we can directly attribute those numbers primarily to COVID. I can tell you before, in early summer, even after we had closed and it was there and happening, we were still trending down in cancellations and slightly up in new student applications. It seems like I think people still had a lot of hope in being here and being on campus and what that was going to look like. And really, as the summer progressed and the environment in the region was not trending in the direction that we would have liked it to. And then also as folks got their course schedules and were able to identify for themselves how many classes they had on ground and what their on-campus commitments would be, that they can make some decisions about whether or not to live on campus. So we really saw that dip happen throughout the month of July. We did extend our cancellation deadline out. Typically, you can cancel without penalty until May 1st. We extended that till August 1st, knowing that the institution was making choices too that would impact students' decisions to live on campus. And so we saw, we had a lot of good conversations with students throughout the summer. One positive that we're taking away from that, I don't know if it's a positive, but one thing that we are seeing is that we had about 260 students choose to move their contract from a fall spring contract to a spring only contract. So in a year, we might see less than 10 students choose to do that. It's not a high number. It usually is just based on, one individual circumstance that they can't come in August, but they can come in January. And so they make that decision to move that. For there to be nearly 260 people who decided to do that, and most of those conversations our administrative office was having with them was really directly related to, I just don't know what this year is going to be like. I still would really like to be on campus. I would still really like to be engaged. But I feel like I need to give it some time and maybe spring will look different. We're starting to hear from some of those folks. And there are some people that are making that decision to come back, some that are not, a lot that are still deciding, but we are starting to have those connections with them as well. We are starting to look forward and we'll open up our process for folks to return to campus later this month. One thing we're going to do a little bit differently this year is we know that there are probably a number of students that maybe left us in March that are still students here, but that may be someone that would come through our process. And so trying to make some specific reach outs to people who may be in those populations, making sure folks know that they can come back and live on campus. So that process is getting up. One thing that will be a little bit unique this year is that we're going to still offer tours, which we always would. And even this year will be a little bit more unique because we have guest policies that are more restrictive due to COVID. So most of our students may not have ever been to Evergreen or Cougar Village. And so having those opportunities for people to get to those spaces, we'll do that virtually and also by appointment through where they could sign up to do that in a small group with a tour guide. So we are looking forward to the opportunity to get people to get to see some of the places that they could live in unoccupied spaces. We wouldn't be going into occupied spaces to do that. So we're starting to think about next year, and hopefully folks know that they have options there as well. One of the things that was new this fall that I don't know, with everything that happened in March, never really got a chance to push out too much to you all, was that last year we talked about our deluxe suites in Woodland Hall, and that was where the new spaces that we have that are a 2-to-1 bathroom ratio. The beds are full-size beds instead of the 2 XLs. It's a room really designed for one person. And we modeled that in Cougar Village and started that this fall. We made that decision mid-spring. And so we have a building that are deluxe apartments. So those are 2 people in an apartment. The bedroom is set up with a full-size bed. They have new furniture in the common space in the living room. And those are 100% full this fall. So we're continuing to try to find those ways that we can use the spaces that we have, the inventory that we have, to connect with the needs of our students. And so that has been exciting to see folks really take on and wanting to do that as upper class students as well. So that's something that we'll continue to offer for fall 2021 as well. So we are offering isolation and quarantine space right now. So if we have folks that live on campus with us and if they need to have to recover, if they are positive and need to isolate, or if they had been a close contact COVID exposure and need to quarantine, if they're an on-campus resident, they have an opportunity to do that on campus. That is one of the data points on the COVID dashboard, which I believe you may talk about later tonight, or that you might be familiar with on the University coronavirus website. So you can see a percentage of isolation and quarantine space available is one of the data points that we use it's one of the many things that we're measuring in terms of how we can respond to a need. So if we have spaces set aside in all of our communities for quarantine and isolation so that we can use that as needed as well. So we are also doing that. And again, that number fluctuates. Right now we're 95% available. There are a number of students that may choose to go home. That might be a more comfortable option for them. Or if they are already living completely alone, we have folks that may apply to them. So they may stay in their own space to do that. So there are a number of factors that contribute to that as well. That's all I have for you. But if there is anything else that you would like me to cover or have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those as well.
Thank you very much, Mallory.
No problem.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, I'll entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion.
Senator Shahan, so moved.
As a move by Senator Shahan, is there a second?
Senator Odell, second.
Seconded by Senator Odell. The floor is now open for discussion.
Senator Shahan, I am the freshman senator, and one of the things that I did in the last few weeks was a student survey. And the main thing that I saw in the student survey was how worried the freshmen were that they were no longer going to have any contact with any other students once the winter hits and they can't go meet those people that are in other dorms because it's too cold outside. Mm-hmm. With this new testing policy that's potentially going to be implemented on campus in the spring semester, are you looking at changing that residence policy at all that allows students to only go into their own dorm room or not have guests?
Yeah, so our guest policy for our housing communities at this point, that is really driven by guidance from the Illinois Department of Public Education and Public Health, also CDC guidance. We will continue to evaluate that. I'm not sure that the testing policy will drive us to make a change and what that looks like. And we also understand that can be challenging, like that as housing professionals. That's been one of the things that has been hard for us to know, that we have the policies that we have that are in place and are really vitally important for the health of our communities, and our communities are doing great. But there's also parts of that are create more challenges in terms of building those communities. And so one way that we are starting to, as a campus and in housing, really trying to make sure that we are spending some time in some small, safe, in-person programming in our residence hall communities over the next couple weeks. And a lot of that also being driven by, hopefully folks can try to make some connections with folks in their communities, knowing that yes, you are going to want, you are friends with people in other buildings, and hopefully you can use some of those other indoor spaces on campus to connect and spend some time together. But that also, you can maybe make some connections with other folks that live in your building. So you will start to see, and hopefully have already, a number of in-person opportunities for folks to connect with other people in their own building. And hopefully that will help to build those connections, that they have somebody in the building. As we know, winter could be challenging. It's already, there's less outdoor activities, and we've been using outdoor space for a lot of programming. But one of the things that we prioritized was keeping our activity wing spaces really prioritized for our residential students, so that you have a larger space for programming, for us to continue to host small in-person gatherings, for students to reserve that. If you're a resident of that building, if you want that space to take a class or to participate with a small group together as well. So, and those will continue to be available throughout the winter until we get to spring, and hopefully it gets a little warmer again.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
If nobody has any more questions, I'll entertain a motion to close the floor for discussion. Unless anyone still has any questions.
Senator Aslan so moved to close the floor.
Moved by Senator Aslan. Is there a second?
Senator Beck, second.
Seconded by Senator Brim. Thank you very much again, Mallory.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Thanks, guys.
Our next guest speaker for the night will be members of the undergraduate admissions team, the Todd Burrell, Kelly Brooks, and Jennifer Harbog. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. You have 10 minutes to speak, and Senate does not have to reply.
Thank you very much, Vice President. Thank you all for letting us join your meeting here virtually. I hope your school year is going well as best as it can during these times. My name is Todd Burrell. I'm Director of Undergraduate Admissions. I'm joined by two team members. I'll let them introduce themselves. First, Jennifer.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jennifer, and I'm the Associate Director of Admissions on our team.
And then Kelly.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kelly Brooks, and I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions for Campus Visits.
Thank you all. And I'm going to share our screen if okay. And we have a little bit of information we wanted to put together here for you. Just to go over, I know that you asked about our recruitment efforts and what we're doing during these most unique times, but I want to give a brief overview on some other things that are happening that truly do impact in recruitment here. So this is a quick thing. First of all, I want to say we just wrapped up a preview program. So you see the SIUE behind us. Kelly Brooks led us in our virtual preview program. We did one this summer as well, but we just did one today. Usually be on campus, but we did today. Kelly will talk about our visit opportunities here to wrap us up. But this fall, we welcome 1,554 freshmen and 1,152 transfer students. Now, we also take students in the spring and summer, as you know, but this is the time where most of our new students enter in. So, and it gives you kind of a general overview. Our overall population right around 13,000. So just slightly down over last year, but something that we saw coming once that pandemic hit and impacted both of our new freshmen and new transfer, and then a little bit over of our overall total enrollment there. So wanted to provide that information for you. New this year, and this is a policy that was approved through the appropriate channels here at SIUE through our office, through via our enrollment management office, through the provost and chancellor, through faculty senate and curriculum council. So what we do is we have our test optional for fall 21. I'll break it down into this for those outside and those prospective students looking at SIUE. What we tell them is a test score is not needed for admission. We explain it that way. I think test optional, there's words test blind, test flexible that are all out there during these most unique times of the pandemic where students can't possibly take that ACT or SAT. Some will be taking it here this week at their high schools on October 14th. That's a statewide test in Illinois. But some schools are not going to be able to administer that simply because they're still in virtual. They're not meeting in person schools around the state. So again, what we did was we tell students a test score is not needed for admission, and we work with data through research through the College of Arts and Sciences, research that we've been looking at for quite some time that tells us if students retain what GPA, so we have that GPA to go off of, do they retain at? And so we have a unique number, but it truly is based upon research. A 2.6 or higher, those students are being admitted this year for admission for 2021 terms. Anything below that 2.0 to 2.59, they would be held for a further review of admission review committee, requesting some further documentation that they would need to send in before we make a decision. And again, this is unique for us this year, and a policy that's been passed by various offices on campus here. What we also have done, and this was in place prior to even the pandemic planning for this, is we were looking at test optional for scholarships as well as our direct entry. So for our scholarships, it's not, a test score is not needed, but if it benefits a student, prospective student, we tell them, send it in to us. So if you meet the test score, but maybe not the GPA or vice versa, make sure we have that information. But a test score, again, is not needed if they cannot take it. We'll work with scholarships for students beginning with the 3.0 GPA, as well as the same thing for direct entry. Each school or college, each school established their own direct entry information. It's posted on our website, siue.edu/direct, and we share that with students there and looking at it there. And then one other information here, again, you can see direct entry. We do offer these in various programs. It's something we've been doing for a while. The new this year is that we are looking at GPA. The schools established that, provide that to us, and we are now providing that to prospective students. And I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer, who's going to talk about our scholarships.
Yes, so to follow suit with our freshman scholarships, so we have gone test optional for that as well. So in the past, if students have met a specific test score requirement, ACT or SAT, at the time of admission, they automatically receive the Cougar Pride Scholarship and potentially the Janetta Haley Scholarship. But this year, we've extended that to include GPA. So students can have a 3.0 GPA, a 23 ACT, or an 1130 SAT. If they have any one of those three at the time of admission, they are going to receive a scholarship in their admission letter. Both the Cougar Pride and Janetta Haley for freshmen are renewable for up to 4 years. Our Meridian Scholarship, we continue to offer that as well. And it also is test optional. So that's our one award that we always conduct a holistic review for. So we take quite a few factors into consideration. The minimum criteria for that, as you can see, is the 3.5 GPA, 27 ACT, or 1260 SAT. So those are our scholarships there on the top three. The bottom two, those also pull into consideration financial aid. So there's the SIUE grant, which we've offered for freshmen in the past. Students will apply for admission, fill out the FAFSA. We recommend they do that just as soon as possible, especially now that that FAFSA is live, and they can be considered for that award based on financial need. The SIUE commitment, you may have heard of that. It's brand new this year. We're very excited about it. And so basically what it will do is when a student applies for financial aid, we'll look at that, and then of course any awards that they receive. So that could be merit-based scholarships, grants, those kinds of things. And then we'll look at that and see if they have, as noted there, an annual income of less than $63,575 and assets less than $50,000, then they can be considered for the SIUE commitment, which means SIUE then will cover, after all of those awards are applied to their tuition, any remaining tuition fees, course fees as well. So we'll cover that gap. So that's brand new this year, coming from the president's office. And then we also have our transfer scholarship awards. One of the most exciting opportunities this year for that is that if students meet the minimum criteria, they're transferring in, whether it's from a community college or a four-year institution, they are automatically going to receive this. And for the first time, we're including it in their admission letter. So we're really enthused about that. These awards are renewable for up to 2 years. The Cougar Pride and Janetta Haley are. The Phi Theta Kappa Award, that is a one-time award of $2,000, but transfer students need to have a minimum of a 3.0 cumulative GPA. So if they've attended multiple schools, it has to be overall in order to receive this scholarship. And then the SIUE commitment applies to this audience as well. And then just to touch on some of our recruitment efforts, of course, we're all virtual this fall, so very different for us. Our state associations, as well as the National Association, has made everything virtual. So we're participating in those events that typically would be face-to-face and on ground. In addition, we're completing virtual high school visits, community college visits. That could mean meeting with a group in this format. Some high schools have said they're not doing that this year. So in those cases, if they're interested, our counselors are pre-recording a message that they would share during the visit, sending that out, and then the high school counselors are sharing that with their students, and then they're scheduling individual appointments with our team members. We currently are in Cougar application week. So in the past, we've always had a handful of high schools in Chicago, and then most of our local schools down here by us, where we've conducted an on-site admission program. So we go to the school, we waive the fee, students apply on site, we admit them in person. That, of course, is not really happening this year completely. So instead, what we're offering is Cougar application weeks. It started the 1st of October and will run through the 18th. So any student can apply during that time for a 2021 semester, and we're waiving the fee. And then we'll work with the high schools on getting those transcripts in. We have had a couple of on-site programs, about 4 or 5 for smaller programs. So that's been successful. And then just something else to point out that's new this year, we're going to be hosting a prospective parent webinar. So this is geared specifically for parents of prospective students. That'll be held on the 28th of this month, just as a way to engage them, to get some information out to them. I know they have a lot of questions about the search process, so it's really there for them as well. And lastly, we just hosted our community college conference. We actually had an increase in attendance this year. So usually we have about 45 to 50 community colleges representatives that are there. This year. It was almost 90. So a lot of schools from up north that can't afford to travel down due to budget were able to participate in our virtual event, which was great.
Thank you, Jen. And now I'll turn it over to Kelly Brooks. And this is Kelly giving an update on our visits. Kelly.
Good evening, everyone. Again, thank you for inviting us. So my position in the Office of Admission is that I manage all of our campus visits. And as you can imagine, this semester has been a tremendous effort on everyone's part in our office. We have moved all of our visits that would normally take place on ground to a virtual visit. So any type of visit opportunity that our campus would have normally offered in person, including SIUE Preview Day, which a lot of you on this call may have attended in the past, Transfer Visit Day, the Explore Days, and the Academic Days. Those have all been moved to virtual. And so on the screen here, you'll see the College of Arts and Sciences, Business, Education, Engineering, Housing, Nursing, Pharmacy, and again, addressing Transfer Virtual Day. All of these opportunities are now offered virtually. So we have partnered with the academic departments and other areas on campus to offer prospective students a virtual visit at least once a month. And some of these are offered once a week. And so although the pandemic has hit us very hard, especially in the area of visits, we have come up with other opportunities to promote to our prospective students. I do want to offer you all this stat that I just looked up. We shut down our visits back in March. As soon as the governor went to a mandatory stay-at-home order, we immediately had to move our visits to virtual. Since March, so from March until today, we have 1,422 students who have registered for virtual visits, and 729 of those students have actually checked in with us. That is amazing for SIUE. And so we will continue to do that. And as Todd said today, we hosted our SIUE Preview Day in a very successful way online. So if you have other students who would like to visit the university, we do offer daily campus tours, but it is at a very limited amount. We are only allowing 9 individuals per tour. That is a huge change from in the past. We offered 40 individuals 3 times a day. So again, we have limited our tours. That is to keep you safe, me safe, and all of the faculty and staff on campus safe as well. Masks are required at all times when anyone visits the campus, including the Office of Admissions.
Thank you, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
And that is our admission information, hopefully giving you some details on what we're doing and how we've had to shift. And I know this is very similar to my colleagues across the state and across the region as well, as what we've been having to do. This here is a photo of our team in our most unusual team photo that you see. So we did this to kind of start the school year right before everybody else came back. So again, that is our information, and I'll turn it back over to you, Vice President.
Thank you all very much. Fortunately, we only have time for about 1 or 2 questions. So if anybody has any questions, I'll now entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion.
Senator Aslan, so moved.
It's moved by Senator Aslan. Is there a second?
Senator Hawkins, second.
Seconded by Senator Hawkins. The floor is now open for discussion.
Senator Aslan, thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. I was just wondering, as the graduate senator, if you have any information about specifically, I guess, GRE testing, but also just graduate admissions in general.
Great information. We do have an Office of Graduate International Admissions that's chaired by Dr. Jim Monahan. He's the director of that. And so we do partner and work with them. And so I know that they are looking at various tests required, but because it's at a program level, it's different than an overall review where the faculty and the curriculum council will work with us on the policy. Each unit level, each department will set their own requirements. And so they're individually looking at them. I know as a member of the Anti-Racism Task Force, that is something that we have recommended. There are graduate admissions staff on this task force, and that is something that the task force is going to be looking at as we look towards the future, not only due to the pandemic, but due to other factors that come into play when you look at standardized tests. So I think more will come on that. And again, maybe if you have particular questions and I may be missing a few items, do reach out to Dr. Jim Monahan, again, the Director of Graduate International Missions.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Internal Affairs Officer Lutz, I just have a quick question. Thank you so much for being here, all 3 of you. So is the Cougar commitment thing that you talked about, does that only apply to freshmen and transfer students, like new students, or does that apply to current students? Because I know I've had people ask me about it and I'm like, I have no idea.
Great question. Any of my colleagues, Jennifer, Kelly can chime in too if I missed something. We've even adjusted our language. We said incoming freshmen. So yes, does that leave out current students who would have been able to maybe take advantage of this in the past? Yes, that's the short answer to it. But it is something that the board approved. The president, Mahoney, has worked with both campuses and getting this brought on board. So both our campus and Carbondale campus will have this for any incoming, so fall 21 new freshmen or transfer.
Thank you.
And just to add real quick, I'm sorry, I always miss this point, and it's an important one. It is for Illinois residents. So students have to be residents of Illinois. I apologize, I did not note that earlier.
Thank you. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for questions. Thank you all very much. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to reach out via email. At this time, now entertain a motion to close the floor for discussion.
Senator Aslan, so moved.
Moved by Senator Aslan. Is there a second?
Second, Senator Perry.
Seconded by Senator Perry. Again, thank you all very much.
Thank you. Have a great meeting, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our final guest speaker for the night will be Felicia Cole, Senior Associate for General Counsel, who will be going over the Student Grievance Code. Thank you for coming out today, Felicia. You have 10 minutes to speak and Senate does not have to respond.
Thank you. As stated, I'm Felicia Cole and I'm an attorney in the SIU Office of General Counsel. I'm here today more so in my role as the chair of the Policy Council and just to bring forth to you all changes that have been made to the Student Grievance Code. Hopefully you all received a copy of the document with track changes. I sent it out a few weeks ago. And so really, I just wanted to point out a couple of the things that have changed in the policy and then offer time for you all to ask any questions about it if you have any questions. So really briefly, the reason why we were looking at the policy to make changes was because there was a a discrepancy in the policy previously related to who could appeal an initial hearing officer decision. And so previously, at one point in the policy, it stated that it had the phrase, if either party appeals. And so that gave the impression that either the student could appeal an initial decision, or a faculty member, like the person who had been grieved, could also appeal. And so then in another place later in the policy, it kind of said for student appeals. So it was just a little bit unclear, and we had some cases over the past couple of years where this has come up as an issue. And so, so we just wanted to really just clarify that. And so the practice has been that either party has been allowed to appeal the first initial hearing officer decision. So for instance, if a student had filed a grievance against a faculty member and the initial decision was in the student's favor, the faculty member could appeal basically up to the next level, which oftentimes would be the dean level. And so that is what has been occurring in practice. But again, it wasn't 100% clear in the policy. And so that change was made to clarify that either party can appeal at the first initial level. Then subsequent to that, only the student can appeal. So for instance, if there was a second appeal to the dean's office, the student then would be the only person that could appeal at that level, not the faculty member. So that was really the purpose of us kind of reviewing the policy for changes. And then in doing so, because you may have noticed at the end, this policy was last revised in 1998, so quite some time ago. And so we did see some other things in there that needed to be changed, such as there was a definition of sexual orientation. We didn't really feel that that was needed. On the second page, I guess it would be under student rights. Number 5, I updated that language because there were some kind of outdated terms in there. You may have noticed it, I believe it used, I think it may have used the term handicap, for instance, instead of, disability. And so just kind of updating that language. And then also we just made it consistent with what's in our university non-discrimination policy. So we added some categories that had not been, in here back in 1998. So we added, civil union status, military, discharge from military service, sexual orientation, including gender identity, which had not been previously in there. So basically just to line it up with our other policies and Illinois state law as well, which has changed since 1998. So that was the changes in that section. Again, we also, under student right number 18, just kind of updated that a little bit to make it more clear, because those are duties that basically instructors or faculty members need to uphold. And now, since that time, our faculty has become unionized. And so it also includes collective bargaining agreements that the faculty members also have to adhere to. In the section G for informal process, we basically just clarified that the grievance timeline is not stayed during like any informal process. And that has been the practice, but it didn't previously say that. And so folks had questions about that. And so we just want to make that clear. We also took out the specific statement about mediation, because mediation really has not been utilized at least in the past, since I've been at SIUE, which has been a number of years. We spoke with particularly the dean's office in Cass, because that's the largest unit that has the most grievances, and they've not utilized mediation. So we just kind of made it more general, and so mediation could potentially be used, but really in any kind of informal process. to resolve a grievance with a faculty member. It can be as basic as just trying to talk to the faculty member. But we just wanted to make sure that it was broader. It's not just mediation. Again, moving to section H, this is the only other substantive change that was made to the policy. And that was just clarifying that if a student wants to bring a grievance based on discrimination on a protected class, so basically all of the protected classifications that I talked about in the prior section, we just wanted to make it clear that if someone wants to bring a complaint relating to that it would need to be brought in the office, the EOA office. So the Office of Equal Opportunity Access and Title IX Coordination. So at the time, in 1998, that office did not exist. It had a different name at that time. And this also mentions an assistant provost for cultural and social diversity. That position has not existed in quite a number of years. So we also just wanted to clean that language up. And so, but the substantive change in this section is that now, if a student wants to bring a complaint related to one of these protected classes, it can only be brought through EOA. If they want to bring an internal complaint, it can only be brought through EOA. Previously, a student had an opportunity to bring a complaint to maybe, through this process, and then also bring one through EOA. And that's problematic for a number of reasons. But one being that we want people who are trained in harassment and discrimination to hear those kinds of complaints. And normally a department chair or folks at a director level wouldn't necessarily have that training, whereas anybody in EOA that would be hearing a complaint has received that kind of training. And so from an internal standpoint, a student would be able to bring a complaint through EOA. You also as a student still have all access to bring any kind of external complaint that you have always had, whether that be at the state level or the federal level, and that has not changed. Those are really the substantive changes to the policy. So I just wanted to point those out to you, although you could also see them, in the track changes, and just wanted to ask if you all have any questions.
All right, thank you very much. At this time, if anybody has any questions, I'll now entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion. If there are no more questions, if there are no questions, then yes, thank you very much for coming out today.
All right, you're welcome. You all have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, you too. All right, moving on to line 4, approval of minutes. I will give a brief moment to look over the minutes, and when ready, I will entertain a motion to approve.
Senator Shahan, so moved.
Has been moved by Senator Shahan. Is there a second?
Senator
Randolph.
Seconded by Senator Randolph. We will now proceed with a roll call vote.
Senator Aslan,
Aye.
Senator Beck,
Aye.
Senator Brim,
Aye.
Senator Burnett,
Aye.
Senator Childerson,
Aye.
Senator Gorin,
Aye.
Senator Hawkins,
Aye.
Senator Jones,
Aye.
Senator Morgan,
Aye.
Senator Odell,
Aye.
Senator Perry,
Aye.
Senator Pruitt,
Aye.
Senator Randolph,
Aye.
Senator Sherman,
Aye.
Senator Shahan,
Aye.
Senator Shaw,
Aye.
Senator Wheeler,
Aye.
Senator Winsing.
Aye.
All right, moving on to line 5, additions to agenda, seeing none. Move on to line 6, old business, letter A, COVID-19 updates. Now hand it over to our COVID coordinator, Mike Schultz.
Hi, thanks for having me again, and let me give you a kind of an update. I pulled the Madison County information up for this evening, and for some reason they don't have their positivity rates displayed, and they didn't have them for yesterday either, so I'm not sure what is going on there. But it had been hovering about 5-6%. So we were doing a whole lot better than the last time that when I was here. The and as you're well aware, mitigations have been reduced on Friday by the governor. Because of Region 4 going down in several different criterias. Looking at the breakdown, Edwardsville had 5 cases, new cases today. It looks like the 30s are getting a little bit out of control here. And the college age students are doing a little bit better. So that's real good news. Looking here on campus, we had a peak, pretty bad peak, when you take a 2-week peak, when you take the 26 here and the 32, so 58 cases where we really doubled it from the other 2-week period. This past week, we went down to 5, so a whole lot better. In thinking about that 32 and that 26 there, there's a couple of things that we thought might contribute to that. One, kind of a delay coming off of Labor Day weekend, and 2, as I told you last time, we were seeing some clusters in some of the off-campus apartment groups or apartment complexes. Dr. Waple did stop by and talk to the one that we had the most issues with, and they have they're working with us to get that back in line, and it looks like it's starting to pay off. So that's where we are there. So total positives that we've had since August 1st through last Thursday is 124. Our all 14 days, including faculty and staff, is at 38, and then all prior weeks is 86. Looking at screening, we took a little bit of a dip last week in the number of screening tests. It's not because we didn't provide them, they just weren't used. One reason that we think that happened was Madison County was on campus doing 2 days of a pop-up testing. They were here that Friday and Saturday and did over 270 tests on campus. Now that would not be all students. That would be students and the community. And so we think that took a little bit of a dip. We did put a push out in communication to try to get, to remind people that we've got tests in the health service annex. And that push helped. Looking just at the appointments of today and tomorrow, we're over 35. Plus we're doing, that doesn't include student athletes that are getting tested in the morning. And they're on an every other week screening test. You could see our screening test positive rate is at 1.43, which I would say is respectable. 1 week we were at 0. So that's where we are. On diagnostic testing, and this is, so the screening tests are with no symptoms. Diagnostics is with symptoms. You can see that we did 10 last week. One was positive and one was negative. We had 4 that were pending. from last week, and 2 of those have come back positive. I got those results this morning. So total tests that we've done on campus so far this semester is 55, and Mallory talked about isolation and quarantine space. They're using about 5% of their space, and 5% of about 74 spaces. So don't think it's as of 1,500 or 3,000. So that's what she's kind of reserved. It can be expanded if needed, but that's what she's got ready to go. So mandatory testing. We've been working on this, and Senator Perry has been involved in representing you well in that process. Just thought I'd give you an update of where we are. As Felicia talked about, she represents the policy committee. This has not gone to the policy committee yet. We're still trying to dot the I's and cross the T's before we send it to the policy committee. But what we will be doing is offering a saliva-based test through a partnership through U of I. They've been using it all semester. There will be no cost to the university community. The idea is that we would have a pilot ready to go in November, hopefully, so that one, we can get some of the fear that might come with that. I did mention to Senator Perry that I would like each of you to participate in that pilot, just so that you can spread the word of that it's not invasive and so forth, and the speed there that it takes and so forth. So I will let you know when that time is available. The policy. So beginning in 2021, the university community will be required to take the test. The way we're looking at this is that within 48 hours of coming on campus, that you will be tested. Now, there might be others that we might put on that need to get tested, not wait that 48 hours. For instance, dining staff. We're going to want them to get tested right away and not wait that 48 hours. I know Mallory's talked about her RAs getting tested right away. What we're kind of thinking about is, and this gets more into process, but staff would come in that first week, whatever students are around. There shouldn't be a whole lot of students, but if students want to beat the rush and so forth, and I'm not sure what the textbook rental schedule is, but if they're coming to pick up books, maybe get tested at the same time. And then faculty the second week, also mixed in with students, and then students that third week of January is kind of the thinking that we would go by as students and as people are coming back to campus. Dental medicine and pharmacy start coming back that first week, and they would be as they come back. Again, it's for asymptomatic individuals, people with no symptoms, and who are engaging in on-ground activity. So if you're completely remote, you're not going to need it. But if you're in access, you're completely remote, but are going to use the fitness center, you're going to need to get tested. So just kind of an example of something like that. Students that have symptoms would not take this test, but would need to set up an appointment or need to call into health services and get their guidance on what you need to do there. Either they'll test you with a different type of test or send you someplace else to get a test. Faculty and staff don't have the option of using health services for that. Again, if you're student employees who are working remotely and not otherwise planning to be on campus are not required to participate in testing. But But if you re-engage at some point, so say you're not on campus until middle of February, then you would need to start testing. After the initial screening, the frequency of testing will vary in several categories. I don't have like athletes that are in season, and everybody's going to be in season in the second semester. NCAA is coming out saying that they're going to have to take tests 3 times a week. But students, employees, graduate assistants, teacher assistants, every 14 calendar days, faculty and staff every 30 days. Next steps for the committee is really starting to put meat on the bones, trying to develop the process, develop what technology we'll need to use and how that'll interact with the Shield, which is U of I. Develop a budget, look at marketing and follow up. So real fast, giving you a brief update of where we are. I pulled the highlights out of the policy, but wanted to bring it to you as soon as we could.
All right, thank you, Mike. If there are any questions, I'll entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion.
Senator Tillerson so moves.
Moved by Senator Childerson. Is there a second?
Senator Shahan, second.
Second by Senator Shahan. The floor is now open for discussion.
Yeah, so I just, Senator Tillerson again here. So I just had a quick clarifying question with that. So the Shield pilot testing you expect sometime in November, just to clarify, and just to like get like, I guess, our clarification too, which I think it's a great idea. You want all of us on student government to participate in that voluntary testing. All right, and I agree. I think that's an incredible idea because I think our influence on that would be incredible as well, just to get the popularity moving as well. All right, so we should be expecting sometime in November, I guess, then.
Yeah, the original date was November 4th. I don't see that happening. I've got a meeting tomorrow working on the contract with University of Illinois, and several other schools are going through this. And so there's trying to get that agreement set. They're changing the way that the process works. So we've got to make sure that that process is what they're saying in their agreement and so forth. So I don't want to get you into too much into the weeds, but we got to get through that so that we can bring it to you. And we've got to figure out our integration with their technology and our technology. So that's still, we can't get those until we have a signed contract. So that's what we are looking at doing.
Thank you.
This is President Walters. I know this is still in the planning stages, but could you explain why the faculty and staff was decided at only 30 days instead of every 14 days?
Yeah, good question. If you look at our numbers on the dashboard, the faculty and staff have been 1 to 0 cases all the way through. And so felt like it was a little bit less of a risk than students that have been a little bit higher. And we've seen that on a national level. It's not unusual. For example, U of I is testing students twice a week and faculty every other week. So we're kind of taking that a little bit further and spread it out that way. But it's based on the numbers, what we've looked at.
Is that also food services faculty and staff?
I didn't hear you.
Would that be the same for all faculty and staff, even food services and the MUC?
Correct. Yeah.
Senator Shahan, just real quick to kind of go off President Walters. I know like in the public schools in the area, there's been like a clear difference in the amount of like faculty that have gotten it versus students being like faculty higher. So are there going to be any exceptions to this rule as like if they go, you know, out of the state or if they go to a high risk area or travel or anything like that, will they be required to tell you and get tested?
Yeah, there's already a policy on the books right now for faculty and staff well, for everybody for travel. If you're traveling outside of the area, you're supposed to quarantine for 14 days.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for questions. I'll now entertain a motion to close the floor for discussion.
Senator Shahan, so moved.
Moved by Senator Shahan. Is there a
Senator
second?
Aslan, second.
Second by Senator Aslan. Thank you again, Mike.
Thank you.
I'm going to now move on to line item 7, new business, letter A, balloon policy, and I will hand it over to Dr. Wapel.
Well, good evening, everyone. Good to see you all on this nice fall evening. You were provided in the packet the campus balloon release policy. This is a draft. It was supposed to come to student government in March, but COVID happened and it got put on the back burner. So here we are in October, bringing it to you for student review. Once it's reviewed here, it will go to the policy council to be enacted. And what it really is, it's if anyone knows Dr. Connie Fry Spurlock, it really came from her and her sustainability group about balloons, especially causing some environmental issues especially with animals and debris. Want to protect the environment. We provided a lot of other ways to honor people and events. Those kind of go on letter C, unpermitted uses and beyond. So I'm not going to read the policy because I'm sure you have read it all. So I'll take any questions that you have or just a thumbs up and go.
Right. All right. If there are any questions, I'll entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion. If not, then it sounds good. Thank you again, Dr. Wapel. And if you have any questions in the future, once you're reading the balloon policy, feel free to reach out to Dr. Wapel via email. Now move on to letter 2, petitioning organizations. Line 1, Club Soda, and I will hand that over to Organization Relations Officer ACPAN.
Thank you. So we have 1 organization petitioning and then 2 that needed their constitutions revised. On Club Soda, they had their purpose to create a safe and fun environment for students who want to opt out of the use of drugs and alcohol, to ensure all students have the opportunity to choose not to participate in the use of drugs and alcohol, to involve all students in an organization in which they can have fun, meet new people regardless of whether they participate in the use of substances.
All right. If there are any questions, I'll entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Senator Odell so moves.
As moved by Senator Odell, is there a second?
Senator Beck, second.
Seconded by Senator Beck. We will now proceed with a roll call vote.
Senator Aslan,
Aye.
Senator Beck,
Aye.
Senator Brim,
Aye.
Senator Burnett,
Aye.
Senator Childerson,
Aye.
Senator Gorin,
Aye.
Senator Hawkins,
Aye.
Senator Jones,
Aye.
Senator Morgan,
Aye.
Senator Odell,
Aye.
Senator Perry,
Aye.
Senator Pruitt,
Aye.
Senator Randolph,
Aye.
Senator Sherman,
Aye.
Senator Shahan,
Aye.
Senator Showell,
Aye.
Senator Wheeler,
Aye.
Senator Winsing,
Aye.
Right, the ayes have it. Congratulations, that organization. We will now move on to letter C, constitutional revisions, line 1, and I'll hand it back over to Organization Relations Officer ACPAN.
I just want to add that we didn't have quorum at SOAB, but we asked these organizations questions anyway. So Pre-Medical Association wants their constitution revised. It had not been updated since 2006, and the revisions were voted on by eligible members at their first meeting on September 23rd, and they had a 2/3 majority and it was approved there. So the revisions are to Article 2, Section 3, the Constitution mandated a charge of $10 in dues, and it was changed to make it optional and subject to a majority vote. And they added Amendment 1, which establishes an events planning officer position, as well as it established special elections to fill vacated offices.
If anybody has any questions, I'll entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Senator Aslan, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Senator Aslan. Is there a second?
Senator
Senator
Shahan,
Beck,
second.
Seconded by Senator Beck. We will now proceed with a roll call vote.
Senator Aslan,
Aye.
Senator Beck,
Aye.
Senator Brim,
Aye.
Senator Burnett,
Aye.
Senator Childerson,
Aye.
Senator Gorin,
Aye.
Senator Hawkins,
Aye.
Senator Jones,
Aye.
Senator Morgan,
Aye.
Senator Odell,
Aye.
Senator Perry,
Aye.
Senator Pruitt,
Aye.
Senator Randolph,
Aye.
Senator Sherman,
Aye.
Senator Shahan,
Aye.
Senator Shaw,
Aye.
Senator Wheeler,
Aye.
Senator Winsing.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Congratulations. Moving on to line 2, I'll hand that back over to Organization Relations Officer ACPAN.
The final organization is Graduate Organization for Child and Adolescent Psychology Students. They wanted to add 2 social justice, one that's a first-year student, one that's a second-year student. The reasoning was they wanted to turn perspective outwards and start conversations about social justice, as well as fundraise and raise awareness for those issues.
Are there any questions? I'll entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Senator Aslan, I move to approve.
Moved by Senator Aslan. Is there a second?
Senator Odell, second.
Seconded by Senator Odell. We will now proceed with a roll call vote.
Senator Aslan,
Aye.
Senator Beck,
Aye.
Senator Brim,
Aye.
Senator Burnett,
Aye.
Senator Childerson,
Aye.
Senator Gorin,
Aye.
Senator Hawkins,
Aye.
Senator Jones,
Aye.
Senator Morgan,
Aye.
Senator Odell,
Aye.
Senator Perry,
Aye.
Senator Pruitt,
Aye.
Senator Randolph,
Aye.
Senator Sherman,
Aye.
Senator Shahan,
Aye.
Senator Shaw,
Aye.
Senator Wheeler,
Aye.
Senator Winsing.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Congratulations. Moving on to line item 8, presidential appointments / personnel appointments. Seeing none, move on to line item 9, open forum. If there are any questions or comments from the YouTube stream, now's the time to hear them. If there are not any, we will move on to line item 10, Senate reports.
Senator Aslan,
I'm continuing to attend committee meetings. Senator Perry and I are still working on finding a date that works for us. We will get there. And that's all I have.
Senator Beck,
My report is in the packet. I just want to touch on one thing. I talked to the dean of the School of Business last week, and he said that one of the biggest issues he was facing was just like the disconnect with students. And so Senator Odell and Senator Childerson and I are all going to work on trying to figure out something to get more students engaged or just feel more connected with faculty or students more connected with students. And that's it.
Senator Brim,
My report is in the packet, continuing to attend committee meetings. I have a couple coming up to report on next meeting.
Senator Burnett,
My report is in the packet, and I'm currently working on a School of Nursing trivia night, virtually, obviously.
Senator Childerson,
My report is in the packet. I'm continuing to go to committee meetings. Don't forget about cans on the quad this week. And also, I look forward to working with Senator Beck on more student engagement.
Senator Gorin,
My report is in the packet. During my office hours, I've just maintaining contact with the department chairs for the academic disciplines pertaining to the School of People and Culture, and then I've continued my research on an accessible campus resolution plan.
Senator Hawkins,
My report is in the packet. I attended the Parking and Traffic Committee meeting this past week. One thing to note is that Rendleman Hall used to have a 2-hour time limit at max for parking there, and it no longer will have that for this semester.
Senator Jones,
My report is in the packet. I have nothing.
Senator Morgan,
My report is in the packet. Senator Ho and I have been keeping in close contact with the other dental students, trying to pick their brains on any ideas. We did have a community outreach program that we did in Alton today, and it went really well.
Senator Odell,
My report is in the packet. I recently attended a diversity and inclusion meeting as the student representative, and I'm just really excited to see what this committee can accomplish. It's very relevant, and everything that we've talked about so far has just, I'm just really excited to see what we can do with that. And I'm also excited to work further with Senator Beck and Senator Brim on a couple projects that we've been doing.
Senator Perry,
My report is in the packet, and I have been spending lots of hours a week with the mandatory testing committee, helping to figure out the policy. And of course, I've been speaking for students. I'll always speak up and say, well, what about this? So that's been exciting to be able to speak for all of us. And I attended diversity committee today with Miss Maddie, and it was really good. And I'm looking forward to see what Maddie does with that committee.
Senator Pruitt,
Our report is in the packet, and I just wanted to mention that me and Senator Shahan are planning on doing some sort of in-person event for the freshmen to get them more connected.
Senator Randolph,
My report is in the packet. I had a meeting with Society of Women Engineers, and I hope to host events that connect student government with Society of Women Engineers.
Senator Sherman,
My report is in the packet. I encourage you to read the first part. There's some pretty concerning issues going on within our community, specifically SIUE in Edwardsville. And then also this past week was Mental Health Awareness Week, where student government partnered with Panhellenic, and we had some really great events. So thank you to everyone who attended or ordered merch.
Senator Shahan,
My report is in the packet. I am waiting until the end of this week to close my student survey, but I have started to reach out to some of the people who had some like time concern issues or like time sensitive concerns, and then also just some concerns in general to get a little bit more background on the situations. In addition to that, like Senator Sherman said, last week was Mental Health Week. Thank you to all who participated, and kudos to Senator Sherman and Senator Wheeler for being great partners for that event.
Senator Shell,
My report is in the packet, and I'd just like to highlight again as a reminder that pharmacy students are still on our rotations, and also that my first committee meeting for the ASP, the student policies, will be meeting soon, as we are still deciding on a first date with all of the committee members.
Senator Wheeler,
My report is in the packet. I don't have much to report on, just that I attended the SOAB meeting
a few weeks ago. We have one on Friday, so I'll be able to report on that for the next Senate meeting. And Mental Health Week was last week. And thank you again to anybody that came. And yeah, that's all.
Senator Winsing.
My report is in the packet. I did add this to President Walter's Google Doc in regards to the counseling and health services questions, but I brought this proposal up in my university center board meeting this past Wednesday, and one of the UCB members is a parent of 2 SIUE students, and he voices concern as this being a barrier to healthcare for students. And then another member realized that in order to receive this healthcare in the first place, then counseling services has to afford to even pay the faculty. Therefore, his idea, which I told him I'd get back to him, was to make the first visit free for students and then charge a $10 fee if that's what they're wanting. But that's just an idea, and I told him I would get back to him, so I thought this was important to bring up.
All right, moving on to line item 11, executive reports.
President Walters.
My report is in the packet, and I want to add an update on how Student Appreciation Day went last Thursday. We gave away 100 bucket hats, and we had a lot of really good conversations with the students as they were walking across the quad. It was a really popular event, so I think it's something that we can keep in mind for the future. I think a lot of people really liked them.
Vice President Ekpan.
My report is in the packet. This Wednesday, I'll be attending the first strategic planning meeting. I'm a part of a group that's focusing on increasing the enrollment of a diverse student body that allows them to interact well and adjust well to the ever-changing higher learning community.
Student Trustee Graham.
My report is in the packet. I just want to highlight that the Board of Trustees met this past Wednesday to approve the RAMP capital request. These capital requests were projects across all the SIU campuses. Some highlighted projects that were approved for the Edwardsville campus are Peck Hall exterior repairs, Dunham Hall roof replace, and campus-wide elevator repairs.
Financial Officer Dreppert.
My report is in the packet. Since the last Senate meeting, we had solo, and there was the finance presentation at that, and the recording makeup presentation will be going out for student organization soon. Then our single semester allocation application will also be going out soon, and we have finance board that's coming Friday.
Internal Affairs Officer Lutz.
My report is in the packet, and I just want to highlight that we got approved. So we're having an in-person bonding event on the 24th of October. We're going to Relics Pumpkin Patch, and more information will be out on Teams and the GroupMe. And we're also having a virtual one on the 28th. It's going to be a Halloween movie night. I'm still finalizing the details for that, so just be on the lookout.
External Affairs Officer Kyle.
My report is in the packet. I'd just like to add that Cans on the Quad is technically over. It was today. We got a decent amount of donations. However, if you still want to donate, you can of course leave donations on my desk in the office, and I'll count those all up on Wednesday and get everything sorted out because donations are not being picked up until then.
Marketing Communication Officer Ballard.
My report's in the packet. I just wanted to talk about how I had a marketing communications meeting last Thursday, and I was able to talk with my committee members about merchandise that we're thinking about getting made for new tabling opportunities that we'll be having, and I will let you guys know when those are.
Organization Relations Officer Ekpan.
Since the last meeting, we've had an SOAB meeting, GoCaps, Pre-Medical Association, and Club Soda were present. We didn't have quorum, but we asked them questions, so I'm happy they were approved today. And the stigma withdrew from the petitioning process. Every vote counts didn't show up, but I just got in contact with one of the members, so they should be at our next meeting. And I also facilitated a discussion at Solo.
And Student Diversity Officer McKenzie.
So my report's in the packet.
And I would just like to highlight that I hosted the diversity committee meeting today at 10, where we discussed how we're going to have members like get more involved on campus, because obviously like I can't go to all the diversity inclusion meetings and events that they're offering, because like I want to get my committee to be more involved, and I'm hoping that each member can report back with what they learned about the event, any feedback or critiques that they might have. And at the next upcoming diversity council meeting, I wanted to bring up that the diversity statement hasn't been revised since 2013. So I was going to see if they were in the process of revising that, which include our anti-racism things that we've been doing, any like new task forces that we have created and such.
All right, moving on to line item 12, announcements. If there's anybody in SG that has any announcements, now's the time to hear them.
I'll try to make them quick. Oh, go ahead. Okay, I'm going to try to make these quick. So shout out to anyone, particularly Maddie, but everyone who assisted with Student Appreciation Day. Thank you so much for all that you did. Great job to Haley, who's I know working very hard on some team development. But hopefully now that some of our phase 4 mitigations have been removed, hopefully you have more opportunity, excited to see what you can do. Great job to Caitlin with Cans on the Quad. I know you've got some other things coming up, so things don't slow down for you. And great job to everyone who planned and helped with Mental Health Awareness Week. I know Sophia did a great job with getting social media stuff out there as well, so kudos there. Quick reminder that the Hash Brown Huddle is scheduled to be virtual on Friday. I think that's the 23rd. So if you haven't registered yet, please make sure you do. It got lost in my email, so I'm just as guilty. So just wanted to bump that up there. It's from Tyler Manning, so make sure you check that out. And also we sent out an update today regarding the Illinois Phase 4 updates, and just reminding folks to continue submitting your event safety plans for events or meetings with 10 or more people. Right now we are limited to 50 guests at events or meetings, or 50% of room capacity. So that's exciting, but want to make sure we continue to do it safely. I will put that page here in the chat just as a direct link for you to read those numbers specifically. That's all I had.
Okay, I would just like to add that Diversity Day is on October 14th through the 15th on Zoom, and you could register online. And then I'm presenting on the 15th, which is on Thursday, from 2 to 2:30 on systemic racism in higher education. And there's a Black Lives Matter protest Saturday, October 17th. From 1 to 3, and that's at the Madison County Courthouse in Edwardsville. So if you're interested in attending that, that's when that will be. So that's all the announcements that I have.
All right, are there any more announcements? If not, move on to line item 13, adjournment. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Senator Odell so moves.
By Senator Odell, I now adjourn this Senate meeting at 7:21 p.m.